Now, if you don't like, comment, and subscribe, you're going to get this. That's what's going to happen to one of your toes. G'day everyone, my name is Ash, hope you're all doing fantastically well. Welcome yourselves back to Tank Mechanic Simulator. This is the first supply DLC, which includes 5 vehicles, a BT7 early, which is this vehicle right here. I probably shouldn't have removed that road wheel, I'm going to have to pay for that later. Anyway, this is the M18 Hellcat, the second vehicle to come out in the DLC. On the left is the IS-2 from USSR, and then we also have the Churchill AVRE from Great Britain. But today we're not going to be restoring any of these vehicles, but instead we're going to be restoring the infamous Konigstiger, also known as Konigstiger. Alrighty, so first steps first, we want to sort of look at the vehicle, see what kind of damage, a couple of weld spots there. There isn't really a great deal of parts for this one. Missing a back hatch on the turret. There are some other interesting whole I guess, issues with this one. Can't even jump up my own set of stairs. Let's jump up here. Fuel tanks and engines look completely and utterly demolished. There is no filters or fan covers or any of that sort. The top of the turret, there is absolutely nothing. Driver's hatches and everything in here seems to be out of place. And, well, the general condition of the tank isn't exactly great. Tank repairs is 1% and the tank assembly is 19%. So, we're lucky we even have the hull and the turret of the vehicle, but thankfully we can easily restore most of this, because the hull is intact, at least in some portions. Now, because this game isn't exactly the most realistic thing, the first thing you would do in a typical restoration is document living daylights out of everything, as it came, as it was. Try and get the transport history, the history of the vehicle, where it was before it came to your shop. Then you document the living daylights out of it, pictures and video and where things were and all sorts of other things, because we have the luxury of doing that these days. So this is what we're going to do. Because the Konigstiger was the largest and heaviest operational tank in the German army, it's quite a behemoth. Not quite like the Mouse, but we did restore the Mouse, and that was a mammoth task that took 2 episodes to cover. Instead, we're going to deliver this in 2 parts. So, first thing, I'm going to go and move the turret module over to the 1 position, and then I'm going to also go get the engine and put the engine on the engine stand. And so, first of things first, I'm going to disassemble the engine, and then we're going to start with the turret, and then once we're finished with the turret, and at least scraping it back and painting it all, that way we don't have to do as much repairs, then we'll end up by trying to, I guess, disassemble everything that we possibly can from the hull. So, if that makes sense, let's get started. Man, that was easy. If only restoring things was like that in the real world. The whole entire part becomes shiny after you just touch it. Just breathe on it once. That's the beauty of video games, you see. Alright, now that we've done that, now we just need to get the spray paint out, or should I say the sandblaster, and get this engine nice and squeaky clean. That's it, that's all that was remaining of the engine, so we'll come back to that in a moment. Now, it's a matter of coming and doing the whole entire turret. These vehicles were actually found to be competent, and when these vehicles were in, like, use and actually in service, then they were a formidable opponent head-on with a combination of decent guns and quite a lot of armor on this front plate. But the Konigstiger simply failed to deliver on the promise of a heavy breakthrough tank and really never overcome its real technical shortcomings coming from its transmission, engine, the logistics chain involved with this particular vehicle, and obviously its sheer size and mass. But still, it is the heaviest tank that Germany ever used, so the Konigstiger is one of those vehicles that you see famously played in the Battle of Bulge, so it is what it is. I really want to de-rust everything first, so let's try that. Ooh, it's a sandy camouflage. And look at that, almost a cast piece on its own. It's almost like a battleship turret in a way. Okay. Let's give it an old silver blast. Then we'll be able to check for any other corrosion. Normally this would be done at a later stage, but that's almost ready to go to the paint shop. So we will leave that there for now, and we'll continue on with the hull. So apparently King Tiger's fought in the desert. That's this is news to me in a way. Now this is a most unconventional way of doing things. You would pull the thing apart into individual pieces and break down the vehicle into smaller pieces before sandblasting them. But I find a good way, if you're playing this game and you want to save a bit of money, doing this saves you a bit of time, because doing it as combined components and then just restoring them as you go is a far safer option than having to deal with, I guess, the interior of a vehicle that is rusty as all hell. So I could just disassemble everything, but then I'd have to also go pay the repair costs for absolutely everything. Drive cover assembly itself. Funny thing about metal that isn't exposed to the elements, sometimes it comes out shiny. A lot of restorers of classic cars will actually like find engines that are in perfectly working condition because, you know, it's only the outside sort of block or the cylinders that have actually, like, the internals of the engines have been kept lubricated or they've been kept out of the elements. So you get this weird sort of contrast between absolutely rusty ass just stuff and like clean, almost pristine engine, which in some cases is fascinating how it works. You think that the whole entire vehicle itself would be rusty, but that's just not the case. It's only sort of surface rust to deep level rust depending on the condition of the vehicle, but at least in my experience, leads to particularly interesting outcomes when you're trying to restore a motorbike that's been sitting in a shed for 70 years. And I remember a lot of time spending. Right, now we need to get up on top of the engine deck. Move those vents. And again, this process, just to get to where we are here now in the shinier stuff, might take 6 to 12 months. You've got to document everything, you've got to pull everything apart. It might not look like much, but everything is boltable. And everything comes out of everything. Oh yeah, I've also got to take apart everything else. Okay, now let's get the welder and fill in some of these spots. See, this tank has actually taken a hit directly to the side. That might have actually caused its demise. Now, let's go and repair some of the holes here. I don't think I saw any on the turret or on any of the other sort of surfaces. There's usually a big black mark where where there might be some sort of exterior damage. Welding might occur like this, even in a regular kind of confined experience. Now, Didn't notice anything with this that needed to be welded. There's no major gaping holes that isn't a part of the original design. And again, that is something you're going to have to figure out. This particular turret is the second version of the Konigstiger turret. It was fitted and basically started life in August 1942, with discussions between representatives from Krupp, and the initial design was for orders to reduce machining time and the method of construction. And instead they used these interlocking plates as a bit of armour. The very first version is the Tiger P. That has sort of a curved sort of front and like a sort of very, very interesting silhouette, and there is one example of that kind of vehicle existing, and that is at the Bovington Tank Museum in the UK. Anyhow, the last working Tiger is actually in a French museum, and it has one of these turrets. So, there are a couple of other vehicles around the world scattered somewhere, but that basically brings us to a closing point, I guess, for today. Hope you've enjoyed us at least chatting a little bit, and I sincerely hope you have a fantastic day. Right, join me next time as we paint and assemble and finally finish and place this thing in our museum. Catch you next time.